We are going to be modifying this image using a group of artistic filters. And we'll start with dry brush, which is at the top. So we're just going to go ahead and select that layer. And we'll go to filter. All of these are in the filter gallery. So you're going to have to select filter gallery. And let me see if I can resize this so hopefully you can see it. And in the gallery, we have several different categories of filters. And the group that we're currently working with is up here at the top, artistic. And we're going to apply dry brush. Now, over here are the different settings for dry brush. And below that, you'll see that we have layers. You probably only have one layer. And I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of my layers that I'm not using. And now I only have one layer. But you will learn how to add new layers. It's very similar to the layer panel, where you just click on the new effect button. And to delete a layer, you just saw me do that. I'll go ahead and add one. To delete a layer, you basically click on it, click on the trash, or you can actually just drag it down to the trash if you want. Either way works. To start, we're just going to be working with one layer, and dry brush is our first one. There's 3 different settings that you can adjust with dry brush. We have the brush size, and you'll notice as you increase the size, you're going to get a little wider stroke and a little less detail. And there's really no right or wrong as far as the brush size goes. You are going to pick what you like. I tend to like a little bit more detail. For the brush detail, you can have less or more, and it's totally personal preference which one you like. And what texture does is it adds a little noise to the image, giving the impression of rough canvas or paper. So again, personal preference, just depends on what you would like. And what dry brush is supposed to do is it's supposed to paint the edges of the image using the dry brush technique, which is between oil and watercolor. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And it has now applied the filter to that layer. Now I'm going to hide this layer, and I'm going to select Sponge, which is the next artistic filter that we're going to be working with. And Sponge does exactly what you might think. It's supposed to look like painting with a sponge. So we're going to go into Filter and Filter Gallery. And this time we're going to pick Sponge. And again, there's some settings that we can change. We can change the size. Typically affects the amount of detail. We can adjust definition and how smooth the sponge is. So you are going to adjust the settings for what you like. So again, we've got the brush size, we've got the definition, which affects contrast, and then we've got smoothness, which actually determines how soft the sponge is. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And we'll turn that off. And now we're going to pick poster edges. And this does exactly what you think. It's going to make our image look a little bit more poster-like. I'm going to go into the filter gallery. And we're going to pick poster edges. And the way this one works is we've got the edge thickness, and you can see the edge getting more pronounced as we move the slider towards the right. We've got edge intensity, which controls the darkness of the edge. You can see as I move it towards the right, you're actually seeing waves, whereas if it's more over towards the left, those waves kind of disappear. And then we've got the level of posterization. The lower level, the fewer details you are going to have. So if you want more details, you're going to pick a higher level. So again, this is totally up to you what you want the settings to be. And I should mention, quite often with these filters, you apply the filters to a layer, and then quite often you'll do a blend mode to blend it with the layer below. And it's not unusual to have several different layers with blend modes. You can get a lot of really interesting effects that way. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And we'll turn that one off. The next one we're going to use is film grain. And this actually adds noise to your image. So the grainier, the more noise you're going to have. And you can control the highlight area and also the intensity of those highlights. Okay, so it's kind of a play off between the two. And also the amount of noise that you want. Okay, so again, totally up to you what you want for those settings. Okay, and then I'll turn that off. And we're going to choose Cutout. And what this does is it makes the image look like it's comprised of little pieces of colored paper. And this is another one that is quite often used in conjunction with multiple layers and additional filters. So looking at Cutout, you can kind of see that torn paper look. And if we make some changes, we can make it even look more like torn paper. And so what it comes down to is, you know, whatever you like best with this. Okay, do you like a sharper edge? Do you like more detail, less detail? Okay, totally up to you. And so we're turning off Cutout, selecting Smudge Stick. And so what Smudge Stick is going to do is it's going to add short strokes that are going to be quite dark. And you'll see that in the darker areas. And the lighter areas are going to lose a little bit of detail with this one. So you can see as the stroke length increases, we lose more detail. Now you can adjust the highlight area and the intensity along with the length of the stroke. So what you're doing is you're just trying to find a combination of settings that you like. And the highlight area controls the size of the luminous area, intensity, increases the contrast of the image by changing the intensity of the lighting. And you can see that. So you're finding a combination you like, I'm going to click OK. And we'll turn that one off. That brings us down to this last one where we're actually going to apply two. We're going to do paint daubs and smudge stick. So I'm going to go in, filter gallery. We'll pick our first one. And let's see, we can adjust the size of the brush on this. You can see we aren't going to have much detail if we make the brush bigger. And you can also adjust the sharpness of the image. Now you'll notice that there's different types of brushes. So you might want to just take a look. And you can see why with this one that we probably want to apply a second one. So that was paint daubs. Hopefully you found something you can live with or that you don't dislike. And we're going to also apply smudge sticks. So we need to add another layer. And what it does is it just duplicates what you currently have. Whatever layer is selected, that is the layer that is going to be changed. So I'm going to select the top layer and choose smudge stick. Right? And this is the one that we were just looking at earlier. But you can see that when combined with paint daubs, it does have a little bit different look. Now if we turn off paint daubs, you can see what it looks like, and then we turn on paint daubs. Also, if you move paint daubs up to the top, kind of flip-flop them, you'll notice that it does make a difference in how it looks as well. And you can select either layer and change them at any time. Okay, so you can kind of play around with both. Okay, that looks actually hideous. Okay, not liking that. We'll go back to simple. So hopefully you are finding a combination that you like or that you don't dislike intensely. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of times these effects are blended with the layer below. And this is one that I would probably do a blend mode on. And quite often soft light has a very nice effect with some of these filters. Okay, so I just applied the soft light, like how that looks. What I want you to do at this point is turn on whatever layer and effect that you like best. And if you want to play around with this a little bit, you know, you certainly can do blend modes on these. You know, come up with a combination that you like. And then once you're done, you're going to save your changes.